Hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. What is up, guys? Sorry, give me a second here. Whew. Mic on, check 1, 2, 1, 3. What is up, guys? Chicago Street Race. Coming to you live. Sorry, I had to start this a few minutes late. My dog was in that weird state of scratching on the door. Then when I go to let him in, runs away the backyard. You know how it goes. 75 laps. I think it's got to be among the lowest number of laps for the year, but I don't think it'll matter too much. It's crazy that we get a $12,000 salary dominator starting on the pole that everyone's going to play, and it's not Martinsville or Bristol where there are like 400 or 500 laps to go around. No, they were just 75. SVG is just that much of a favorite. And we got rain in the forecast. You know, damn right, third year in a row. We're probably going to be messing with the wet tires. I think it's like, what, 50-50? I think I saw just like an hour ago, like 55% chance of rain mid-race. What is up, my tattooed freak, my fellow hipster? What's going on, folks? The Chicago Street Course. We only have 2 years to go off of. And just looking at these historical results to start off with, just place differential. Insane place differential. Yeah, SVG always been the favorite here, right? This is where he came in, made his name known, won his first ever NASCAR Cup Series race. Was a big favorite last year, and I think he came in last place. He wrecked out immediately. Yeah, we see here, I mean, guys like Justin Haley. Last year, Joey Hand in a spot start. I think it was in the, third RFK car? But yeah, these guys can come from deep and score big time. So, I mean, 75 laps, this is what you'd expect, right? So, I mean, just looking at something like this, right? Looking at how much scoring comes from the rear of the field, you'd figure the guy on the pole wouldn't be that high owned. But that's just the nature of these SVG slates. So we saw in Mexico. We're going to see that even more than in Mexico. And obviously in Mexico, you needed SVG just barely. I think some contests were won without him. He led most of the entire race. Go look at that Mexico race real fast. So only 2 road courses we've been to so far this season. You can see pretty much the whole race here. I mean, SVG was just dominant, right? Yeah, this and the COTA race, what we have to go off of this season at least. But of course, with this being a street race and not a road course race, of course, it's pretty unique. I think the most important thing to note here is just looking at last year's. Let's go to last year's Chicago race. I mean, yeah, there's going to be tons and tons of caution, rain, all that. It's kind of what we've seen. So we saw the Xfinity race before. It was a clean Xfinity race yesterday, but as far as weather goes, but good Lord, there's going to be a lot of cautions, and the cautions here are brutal. You see some deep red here. I mean, some guys just getting absolutely taken out early and often, because the wrecks here, you run into one of these walls, these tire barriers, your day is kind of over. So it's kind of no margin for error kind of a road course race. It's like your average road course race, except for the carnage is absolutely devastating, right? So you got Michael McDowell's another one of our big players this week. Yeah, he got taken out like 3 laps in, gone. SVG, big time race favorite to win. Started 5th, worked his way all the way up to the lead. Doesn't matter, boom, gone. You get into a wreck. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. You get a toe link bent. Your day is over. So this week it's all about, place differential. And we've got no shortage of chalk place differential. And other than that, it's pretty much just to SVG or to not SVG, giving his ownership at 12,000, around 50%. Maybe I could see that maybe being in the 40s. It's just the owners. I've always come in under on Shane Van Gisbergen's ownership, but people are just an absolute sucker for the guy. He led pretty much every lap yesterday in the Xfinity race. It's high time I give him a big fat ownership projection here. So just barely over 50%. Kind of what I'm feeling here. 30% true implied win odds. 65% for a top 5. If he wins at 12K, it's sort of like it looks very similar to the Xfinity race yesterday, where it really depends on how good Byron and Elliott do. We've got all 4 of the Hendrick guys starting in the rear. We also have Alex Bowman and Kyle Larson. The 2 guys actually qualified decently going to the rear. So all 4 Hendrick cars coming from the rear. Yeah, it really depends on how well these place differential guys up top do. Byron and Elliott specifically. Because you can see here, right? Let's give SVG like the ultimate projection, right? I mean, no one can actually lead every lap, but like 70 lead laps. Give him like 20 fast laps, right? This is absolutely insane, astronomical. He far exceeds everyone's expectations. I mean, 5th place from William Byron outvalues that. That's all he's got to do is come top 5. SVG has to win, lead every lap, which we know is pretty much impossible with strategy, with the cautions, what have you. But you can just kind of see there, like SVG on paper, if this goes as it's supposed to, which it never does, he should. I mean, the prop sites are giving him what was this pick 6? I think it's around here, 39.5 laps led, right? Like that's out of 75 laps, that's a massive chunk. And it makes sense. But even with that projection, like he's coming in, he's still lower projected than the place differential guys, kind of as he should be. If anything happens to SVG, say it leads no, it can't be every lap, obviously. Say it leads almost all this race, and then at the end, he just shuffles back to 10th place or whatever, just with some calamity at the very end, his projection comes back to being super duper modest. So, I mean, there's just a glass floor. It's sort of like what I said about him yesterday. Big glass floor on him. He could score a negative 35. I mean, it's kind of what we saw last year with him finishing last. What did he end up getting last year? Started 5th, finished last, negative 30. And half the field just ate that negative 30. So that's kind of what you're looking at. Now, if things go normal, we should see SVG running out there with like a 5-second lead. But I guess it's a little bit different than yesterday in Xfinity, where you saw him running out there with a 5-second lead. That's just kind of the expectation. Here in the Cup Series, I mean, we've seen guys like Bell, even seen guys like Haley be able to run right up there with him and lead laps. Like his average lead laps here is only 8.7. Someone that's got to win here, sure. A lot of that's because he was taken out last year, but I mean, he didn't lead this 2023 Chicago race. Like he didn't lead every lap. He was hanging in the top 5 for the first half of the race. He just came at the very end and won. So it's not like he even dominated there. Of course, he hasn't really had the pull. That is what we saw in Mexico. This is kind of the expectation. We can pretty much expect him to do what he's done in Mexico, maybe a little bit more, but in Mexico, he was just up there running top 2 almost the entire race. So that's the expectation. I'd give it a 50% shot of that happening, right? So that's why the ownership projection, 50%. Even then, he could still be outvalued just if, Byron hits and Elliott hits, and then say one other person that costs money. Say a Chastain, if he goes from 22nd to 3rd, there's a possibility where SVG is not in the winning lineup, even with him leading a bunch of laps and winning the race. So that's kind of the name of the entire slate. It's just so crucial based on this one 12K guy. There's tons of reasons to fade him. He's also playable in cash. I won't say what it is. There's a cash lineup that I think think it's going to be like 50% of the field in cash tournaments are just going to play this. But cash is really just, the 50-50 coin flip, SVG or no SVG. Do you go SVG plus 5 place differential, or do you go SVG or no SVG and just 6 place differential, raw place differential? That's pretty much the double up decider in cash, I would imagine. And then the rest of it just kind of falls by the wayside. You've got 2 super cheap place differential guys in Hamlin and Wallace. And as far as tournaments go, you're pretty much making your SVG lineups. And then in your other half lineups, I mean, the SVG fade lineups, I think personally are more fun. So I'm going to come in, personally, I'm once again going to come in underweight on SVG. It absolutely screwed me yesterday, screwed me in Mexico City, but obviously he's not going to win every single road course race from here on out, right? You can see Indy 10th, Coda 21st last year, obviously in this race, which can get very chaotic, especially with rain tires, all that. Even like Charlotte, Coda, like he's not guaranteed to win. If he does anything but like win and dominate, you don't need him. And yeah, with his win odds implied at 30%, that means that 70% of the time he's not winning this race. Something happens there. I like planning for that a little bit more. And my main guy would be, of course, Michael McDowell. Dominant in practice, the best practice of anyone. Looking at the practice laps here, like pretty absurd numbers across the board, just good consistency. Michael McDowell, his best track type is the road courses by far. He was fast here last year in front row equipment. Fast here once again, along with his teammate Hocevar, Inspire equipment. I think it's a step up for him. I really like him in this spot, specifically in SVG fade lineups. I think if you play SVG, you can't play Michael McDowell. There's no way that there are enough laps to go around for them to both make value here. You are simply playing him if you're fading SVG. And then after that, I guess, Christopher Bell comes in as one of the most important plays, I think. Starting 13th, right? Averages by far the most lead laps here at Chicago. Top 2 finishes at the last 3 road courses. Like, he didn't put up many laps in practice. The thing about practice was it was so splintered by cautions. Like, people didn't really get runs going all that much. But yeah, it's kind of sucks to see that there wasn't much speed out of Bell. We saw his odds drop overnight as a result. Not nearly as bad as like Larson, but I mean, Bell still dropped a bit. He came in as the second favorite. Now Reddick is the clear second favorite. And Bell and, Reddick would be that second group of guys. I think they're just a little bit lower than McDowell for me, for guys to attack if you're not playing SVG. Reddick, of course, a road course ace, but hasn't gotten the win recently. It's been a long time since he won. I think he won like 3 Codas ago. He's right up there. He's been leading laps this season at the road course. I think he's third in average lead laps at the road courses so far this season. So he's someone to really consider. Maybe even Kyle Busch at low ownership. The elephant in the room here, of course, is Carson Hocevar, who you can't count out ever. Any week, pretty much no matter where he qualifies. He qualified up in third. His teammate McDowell, though, is just way more interesting. I think if it's not going to be SVG, it's probably going to be McDowell, right? And then that next tier after him would be Reddick, Bell. And then after that, maybe Hocevar. It's just, I'm having a hard time seeing Hocevar going out and leading and winning this race. And then the other guy to consider, Ty Gibbs, the one that gave SVG some hell at Mexico. Obviously is pretty bad at getting the finishes here, right? But great practice times once again. He had fast practice times here last year as well, ended up with a top 3 finish. So he should be a contender for sure. And outside of that group of contenders, you got maybe, like your road course guys, like your Allmendinger. Bowman ended up sneaking into the win here last year, but he's got to start from the rear. Other than that, it's pretty much survivors. And the big thing with this slate is your playoff points bubble guys. So you've got let's see here. Let's go to NASCAR.com. Boom. Standings. This is what we're looking at here. So when looking at the end of like stage 1 and 2, right? These guys are going to need stage points, especially like, Reddick, Busher, Bowman, Wallace. Like these guys, Reddick's pretty much safe. You can count these guys as like locked into the playoffs up here, but like Busher, a Bowman, a Bubba, Priest, Jones, these guys are actively fighting for a playoff spot through points. These guys like Allmendinger, Hocevar, Stenhouse, just the type of drivers they are, they're going to go balls to the walls. I'm not really too worried about that, but I could see someone like an Alex Bowman, Tyler Reddick taking the stage points just to maintain, their playoff standing and not do that pit right before the end of the stage, which will give them track position later on. So they're going to be sacrificing track position a bit for playoff points. I don't really like those guys. So for once, I'm actually not on Chris Busher at a road course. Yeah, he's like the top 10 god, like the consistency man. But starting 8th, it doesn't really get you anywhere. And the fact that he's probably going to be stage points racing kind of takes him out of my pool for this week, which is weird to think about. He's been awesome. He's been super consistent, but I need either guys that are going to contend for a win or just guys that are going to get a ton of place differential. I don't see an 8th place guy really factoring in here unless he finds the lead and he leads a significant amount of laps and finishes in first. Like that's just kind of the way that this slate is. So your place differential, it's all really chalk: Byron, Elliott, Hamlin, Wallace, these 4 in particular. Now, Hamlin has never been a road course guy. As you can see, the finishes are awful. He skipped the Mexico race for the birth of his baby. Starting dead last, though, you're getting – he's not a road course guy, but you're getting that baked in here with his pricing only being $7,100. Even if he gets like just a 20th first place finish here, like I haven't projected here, it's 40 points. At 71, that's fine. That's probably like borderline optimal, but all he needs to do is just break the top 20, get like a 19th or 18th place finish, and he is almost certainly optimal. So that's all he has to do. He doesn't get 15% chance of finishing top 10. I just wish there were more top 20 odds out there. Like that's what I'd really be looking at. And I'm sure it's like 50-50. So he obviously can't go backwards. He's fine. If you're fading Hamlin, you're banking on something happening to him. That is a good point, Mr. Jeremy. Not so good on wet tires. I've also noticed like Cindric also not good on wet tires. So if there's going to be a lot of rain in the forecast as we're nearing towards the start of the race, then I guess I will be a little bit lower on a guy like Denny Hamlin, Cindric, just because of the rain tire situation. I would just expect Hamlin to be super duper doopy or chalky starting at 40th. Like anytime someone's starting at 40th and it's a name brand driver, people are all over that shit. But I'm more excited about Bubba Wallace, who paced practice and then just spun out twice during this qualifying lap. Yeah, spinning out here sucks, but held it together. Has 10 straight top 20 finishes at road courses. And that's why him and Chase Elliott are by far my favorite plays on the slate because, Bubba, the 10 straight top 20 finishes at road courses, it's exactly what you want from someone starting back in 37th. You just need that top 20. So that's super consistency. There's obviously speed in the car, as we saw in practice. And then for Elliott, he has 18 top 20 finishes overall this season in 18 races. Like, he is a top 20 god. This is his best track type. Top 5 in 3 straight races, road course races here. And like, he has a floor of like 20th unless he gets like ran into or something, but he's just absolutely resilient. There's also speed in that car. So him starting back in 39th, super smash play, of course. He's going to be one of the guys that's going to maybe be keeping you from SVG. It really depends on how William Byron does. And again, he's another guy, a consistency monster, was fast in practice, second in practice there. Like all the guys who are fast in practice this week ended up starting in the rear. It's pretty absurd, but if Byron and Elliott, if they hit, then you really have to consider SVG. And that's why I kind of want to be on the underside here because it's just a really high percent chance that these guys hit. Now, we can have a rack in the back of the field, and all of these chalk place differential guys are on the back of the bus or finish in the back of the order here, right? They all end up not being optimal. Chalk bomb, chalk nuclear winter is pretty much what happened there, but that is always a possibility. The traffic here is strong. It's hard to pass. There aren't many passing zones at this track. Really, you're just hoping on the field getting shaken up through strategy, through cautions for rains, switch to rain tires, all that jazz. So don't really need to talk too much about the place differential guys because you just kind of know what you're getting from them. And we've already talked about like the dominators, who's going to lead laps if Shane Van Gisbergen doesn't. It's just kind of like the guys that are in the middle here that kind of make the slate for me because the value is really obvious. The dominators are really obvious, or somewhat obvious, I guess. I don't think enough people play McDowell, but we'll see. It's really these guys in the middle that are the interesting ones, right? So Larson is pretty much going to get swept by the wayside here, having to start all the way in the rear at a track that's hard to pass at. Scored from 14th. It just doesn't make much sense for DFS. Bell we've talked about as being a great starting in 13th, though he's probably going to need SVG to not do what he's likely to do. Ty Gibbs, kind of the same boat, but he's a contender right up there with Ty Gibbs. You kind of talked about him there. Allmendinger has enough place differential to work with where, if he does his usual checkers or wreckers, top 5 or 38th, 50-50 coin flip, like if he gets the top 5 side of it, I could see it kind of working out, but maybe just him plus place differential if he has like a top 3 finish. It's possible, but he's not been he's been just outside of the top 5 for me at road courses recently. I kind of need him inside the top 5 here, which is implied odds like 16%. It's not that great. Bowman winner last year, but scored from 11th, starting in the rear. That's really bad. I said what I said about Buescher. Just the top 10 is not going to cut it here in this spot, and this is his worst road course, I'd say. So, not really sure there. Of course, I love McDowell. Chastain starting at 22nd is interesting because, he's finished 22nd here both years. He's really middle of the pack speed-wise in practice and just form overall at the road courses. So, while he does have some place differential to work with, I think his speed just kind of mediocre. It's not all that great. Briscoe, I mentioned, really bad at the road courses, or not even like bad. Like he's good. He just can't finish these ever. He loves the tire barriers. Like he is absolutely in love with tire barriers. But so far it's looked good. Like in Mexico, a good top 10 run there from him. We'll look at him real quick. His run, Briscoe. He actually didn't qualify all that well, but he moved his way up throughout the course of the race. Like it's a good run from him. And that's kind of what you should be expecting here. Like Martin Truex Jr. is really good in this car at this track. So we should have higher expectations for Briscoe than this. Like this doesn't matter really at all. Really just looking at this here, like he should be a top 10 contender. It's just starting in 5th. Probably going to need to win the race or lead significant laps, which is challenging, but he's going to be super low owned. Cindric, I don't like in the rain. He looks slow in practice as well. That's why his odds have cratered. Starting back in 27th for a generally good road course guy. Place differential just scores really well. So he's still someone that's going to be in the pool. I'm just not super thrilled about Cindric like I thought it would be. If you told me he was starting 27th coming into the week, like I would be all over that. But, he's bad on rain tires. That's like the real concern here. Kyle Busch has led a ton of laps this year, led a bunch of laps at COTA. He's averaging the most lead laps per race. This is with Mexico excluded, because I don't include the DNFs there. But basically, he just dominated the absolute crap out of COTA. And we've seen him be pretty good in this particular style of racing recently with RCR. Like he's been awful at the intermediate tracks, but he has been fine. at the road courses, if not pretty good. Starting 6th, though, he's kind of in the Briscoe boat where the play makes some sense on paper. It's just a lot of things have to fall in his favor. He's going to need to find the lead, and he's going to need to finish like top 2, top 3 to be considered here. So the 75 laps just kind of works against him here. Daniel Suarez is out at Trackhouse moving forward. So when that happens, typically I like to just kind of avoid the driver remainder of season. Obviously, all the attention is on Shane Van Gisbergen this week. So that's why I don't like Chastain. I don't like Suarez. They're even probably more concerned with like Will Brown over at Colleague with the Trackhouse Colleague connection there. Like they're using a Trackhouse crew for him. Like I just think Chastain and Suarez are going to go really overlooked by their own team this week, especially Suarez, who is on the way out with obviously Connor Zilich replacing him. Like everyone knew this was coming. Like, yeah, we understand Suarez. So while he's been all right road course racer, especially like 2022, recently it's just not really been there for him. The speed has not been there. He hasn't been a top 10 guy over the last 2 seasons and god awful speed in practice. Like we were avoiding this play like the plague, starting 18th. Ryan Blaney starting 17th. Just fights to survive these races, honestly. And 17th to 15th is not going to score shit for fantasy. Like he's going to need to do something. I don't know. I kind of like him in the rain tires, but I mean, his odds dropped from 36 to 91 overnight. Really bad. Not feeling this play at all. Will Brown. So if you don't know who Will Brown is, we saw him at Sonoma in a 3rd RCR car. And basically with SVG, comes over from Australian Supercars, realizes that the next gen Cup Series car is very similar to the cars they ride over there at in the Australian Supercar Series. They do a lot of street racing there as well. He comes in, immediately wins at Chicago, and then starts a career for him. Like he changes over from the Supercar Series to a full season of Xfinity while racing a lot of the road course races last year. And then, this year full time with Trackhouse and already has a win in the bag in Mexico. Now he replaced SVG for Red Bull in the Supercar Series is Will Brown. And Will Brown ended up winning the championship last year. So, like, obviously at first books were super scared of him coming into a street course race, right? Open at 19. Obviously, those are inflated for a 3rd Colleague car. Of course, Colleague has AJ Allmendinger, but also the equipment's going to be more like Ty Dillon, right? So I don't know, probably a little bit worse, maybe around the same as when he was coming in for RCR. Like Colleague and RCR have a technical alliance. So, I mean, I was watching his vlog for the weekend earlier this morning. It was pretty interesting. But the thing with these new guys here is, like, while the skill is going to be there, and we saw some of that skill on display at Sonoma, started in the upper mid-20s, pushed his way up to the 5th, I think like 15th or something at Sonoma, but his engine expired like 30 laps in. The problem is just the lack of experience, and we saw it with SVG oftentimes, especially as we saw him work his way through the Xfinity Series. It's just these guys new to the Cup Series and the Cup car are pretty much destined to make mistakes. They're not going to be super comfortable in these cars. They're going to make mistakes on pit road. There's shit like that is going to happen. But we did see like Joey Hand last year winning a stage, finishing 4th. So he's not out of it by any means. Obviously, Vegas has come around on him big time. So just an okay play, I'd say, for me. It still projects out all right. Starting mid-pack, I think there is some upside here. I don't think he's unplayable. I think you can definitely take shots at him just because he is skilled at the road course, street course style racing, and that skill expression does come into effect here at Chicago, probably more than some other road courses. But I mean, keep it in check. It's still a very green driver. There's just mistakes to be made. Like his DNF or his carnage likeliness is just higher than pretty much almost like any other like regular series driver that's not in like an absolute shit box. Hocevar, obviously, wild card, like he could strike anytime. You never know. Him we've kind of talked about. Now we're kind of into like the awkward range. So just gonna look at where are the manufacturer odds there. Sorry about my scroll wheel. It's not Ford is plus 1,000. This is pretty awful. Obviously, like Chevy is pumped up because of Trackhouse SVG this week, but Ford is plus 1,000 to win this race. They are just kind of here. Like Logano's P33 in practice, right? Like these Fords qualify pretty well, but in the race, like I have no real hope for these guys. Like Logano, Keselowski starting in the top 15. They're just going to be super fucking low owned. And that's their upside, is that they're low owned. Like Keselowski, you can see from the finishes here, like he pretty much never finishes better than 15th. Like, why would you play him, you know? So there are a lot of super low owned guys on the slate compared to like a normal slate. They're just low owned for a reason. All right. Haley is an interesting one for me because he came in, obviously had that remarkable 2023 performance here and was pretty solid in 2016 as well. Starting 28th, really intriguing. It's just he was really off on practice, only got 4 laps in, right? The splintered practice. We can maybe chalk that up to whatever, right? It's the odds that are scaring me a little bit. Dropped from 100 to 1 to 250 to 1. Still playable. I'm going to be over the field on this play for sure. Starting back in 28th, I just think that, you know, his success specifically at this track, he hasn't really been a road course guy elsewhere. Just he has a feeling for this track. I don't know. I think I'm just going to ride that a little bit. Corey Heim didn't make the race because he hit the wall, right? And then he'll let Catherine Legg get in because he bent his toe link. So that was kind of funny. Ryan Preece starting 7th. Ford, no. No, thank you. Right. Gilliland is the one like Ford that qualified pretty decently that I'm kind of okay with because, I mean, like he's been good at the road courses recently, like pretty damn good. He was like actually fast here last year with the top 10 finish. Like, I mean, starting 20th, it's still an awkward spot for him. And like, you know, he's going directly against like Bubba Wallace starting all the way in the back. But I mean, the ownership is going to be significantly lower. He's just certainly playable is what I would say for Gilliland. And you're going to need to dip into this lower range if you're playing SVG to afford him because he's 12K. Like you got to kind of make these sort of plays, right? I mean, Bubba, like I think playing SVG and fading Bubba might actually be a decent move because like everyone is going to combine Bubba and SVG. Like that's going to be the ultimate chalk combination because he's like such an obvious place differential play and he's like the cheapest. And SVG is so expensive that there's just going to be insanely high correlation between these two in lineup. So maybe going out of your way to fade Bubba Wallace if you're just going to say, fuck it, I'm a donkey, I'm playing SVG, a bunch of SVG. Like if you're in SVG locker and just praying he just does lead every lap and win the race, like maybe going underweight on Bubba is a good way to get leverage on the field there because those lineups are going to be less explored. Just something to think about. Dylan, I don't often give out 1% projections for actual drivers, but Dylan starting 10th, his worst track type by far, like absolutely disgusting. No, horrible play. John Hunter Nemechek was actually fast at Mexico. And that's the first time that we've seen him really be fast at a road course. I'd probably consider that a flash in the pan, but like Legacy has been really fast over the last like 2 months. Him and Eric Jones. We see, the odds correct themselves big time here. 250 to 1. But he's still playable in my book for sure. Just because of recent form. Eric Jones, kind of same thing, right? Starting all the way back in 34th. Last year was one of the worst road course drivers, right? But looked fine at Mexico, and he's been in like really, really good form. Like if he's on like a streak of like top 15 finishes. So him starting back in 34th, just off Survivor's chance, like why not? I love Jones. Give me some Jones, Custer's an interesting play because he was also legitimately fast in Mexico. No one played him. Didn't show the speed in practice either. Didn't show speed this week. And the odds have dropped from 130 opening to 300. And yeah, a lot of that is because they opened up, a lot tighter across the board. And they finally kind of spread out. But just super low ownership that you're attacking here with Custer. I don't think Custer is particularly good. At the road courses and starting 23rd, that's not as far back as you would like. So there's a reason he's 3% owned. It's just that could be like a crazy differentiator play if you're just gonna chase Mexico and there's speed there. Zane Smith, awful luck this season so far at the road courses. Last year it was like a top 20 merchant, like really solid there. Was pretty. He got the 17th last year at this track. Through just being right on strategy calls. I wouldn't say that he was actually really fast. He's fine. Like he showed a little bit of speed in practice there. Starting 26th. He's playable for sure. Jones, kind of mentioned earlier, playable starting so far back. Just in good form. Stenhouse. This is an interesting one because he's not really a road course guy, but last year he was really good. Finished top 10 here. Just a flash in the pan because otherwise, there's not much actually going on. Don't see the speed in practice or what have you, but starting deep back in 32nd, like he started back in the rear last year, as you can see here. Started 33rd, so pretty much the same spot. Shot up to 15th. It was just really good. Early on the race, kind of held that track position. Like it was a good race from him, so that's really the only thing going for Stenhouse here besides where he's starting and just this being a place differential kind of race. But at 57, probably going to be popular with SVG lineups. Barry is trash at at road courses. I think we can all safely say that, like, really off in practice, almost 3 seconds off in practice. And that's with 11 laps ran. Just big struggle bus there. Pretty bad play, I'd say, even starting in 29th, like can't really go there. Gregson had problems in practice. Top 10 at Coda, right? But starting 24th, he's right there with Custer as like just a super low owned plays that are hard to really make all that much of a case for. I think there's more of a case for Custer than Gregson because I don't know. I didn't really like what I saw from Gregson. Had like a fast single lap in practice, but he ended up spinning out, right? And then I don't know. Can maybe just throw a dart at him, but I'm not really going to do that this week. Austin Hill. And the third RCR car, the one we saw blow up on Will Brown at Sonoma last year. Like this, Austin Hill's fine. He was honestly like decent early on in practice. He was like up there with the leaders, not doing too bad. But and in Xfinity, we've also seen him like run pretty damn well. Like he qualified second yesterday, ran up in the front pretty much all day. Tends to just run fifth constantly in the Xfinity series, but in the Cup series, this car just hasn't been very good. He hasn't been very good. Just looking at his finishes, like he's pretty. We don't see many spot starts from him, but when he does, it's pretty bad usually. So there's not really much to say about Austin Hill starting 30th here. I just don't see that being a great play. Herbst just starts too high, 500 to 1 and starting 21st. Like he qualified 21st and then went to 500. So I don't know what that's all about. That's just hating by the sports books, I think. But there's no reason to play Herbst here. Ty Dillon is interesting. The finishes at road courses obviously have not been there, but he is notably good at rain tires. We've seen a handful of times rain tires being used at the short tracks, the road courses. And yeah, that's really the one thing I guess that's going on for Ty Dillon. And also, there may or may not be a cash lineup out there that kind of depends on playing Ty Dillon. But I don't like to give lineups out here. I'm just saying Ty Dillon probably going to be significantly higher owned than cash than GPP. I just have a feeling about that this week. But yeah, with Colleague, I think a lot of their focus is going to be on Will Brown over Dylan here. I don't think he's actually that great of a play. He's just starting back in 36th and is super cheap and just kind of makes things work. Cody Ware, 4 seconds off in practice. He's pretty shit. I don't see a reason to play this guy. Then Blicky is good at road courses, but this car is really shit. So again, not much to say there. And then Leg made the race. Good for Leg. Really fought out there and actually outqualified a few other guys. Really booty sweating for that last spot after Corey Heim had to limp around for half a lap during his qualifying lap after he bent his toe link. So good for her making the race. For fantasy purposes, though, she has none. So that's this race in a nutshell. For a winner pick here, I'm not picking SVG, right? I'm going under on Mr. SVG here, but my winner pick is I like Michael McDowell. I think he's super fast. He was faster last year. Of course, I am praying that something happens to SVG. Gonna come in underweight on him. Gun to my head, obviously, SVG is the real winner pick. Like, he's by far the most likely to win this race. It's not close, but I like Michael McDowell here. I think he should be second favorite over Reddick. I think he's legitimately good at this track type. He's got real speed. His practice times were just super impressive, way more impressive than anyone else's. Ty Gibbs was fast, but had like an off lap here and there. Even some of the other guys you saw, like Elliott, that put up good times at the end, had some off laps. Like Bubba had some off laps. There are no off laps for Michael McDowell. He was super consistent and steady. And as a savvy veteran that's good at road courses, kind of what you're looking for here. If he can get out in front over SVG, I think he can hang on. I don't think there's a chance that nothing even has to necessarily happen to SVG. There's that slight chance, not a big chance, but a slight chance that Michael McDowell is just better and faster than him, at least for like a portion of the race. And that's all you really need here. So he's my winner pick. But realistically, I'm hoping that I win a tournament with like McDowell, 4-place differential plays, and then 1 differentiator play. It's kind of the roster construction I'm kind of looking at here. So I'm going to look at some of the comments here. Sorry, fellas. How did Custer do last time at this race? Last time he was in the Xfinity Series winning it, but in 2023, let's see. He was also, no, he was, yeah, he ain't been here. So we don't really know. Oh, he was here last year. Yeah. So last year he was, where's Mr. Custard? Where's my Mr. Cold Custard? I don't know. Oh, but he was, oh, yeah, I was looking at Zane Smith, yeah. No, he hasn't been here, so we don't know. But he won here in Xfinity, so there's that. That's another case to be made for Custer as a crazy low-owned play, right? That is Austin Hill he's a big fella, so that's he picks on everyone then, but he should not be picking on anyone in the Cup Series, right? And yeah, Hamlin immediately off the truck just blew up like early on in stage 1 of practice. And so that's why he's starting from the rear here, right? Yeah, I'm not sure about, Toyota overall, I don't think. I think it's just specifically Hamlin. I know that I heard during practice that all the Trackhouse cars are going to be set up like absolutely identical, at least to start. So, that's cool, but really, why would you focus on anyone other than SVG if you're Trackhouse this week? Come on. Let's see. It's today's situation where you can lock Bubba and Denny and a rule of McDowell or Reddick and align no SVG. Yeah, I like that. I think to be safe, it's like at most 2 dominators in the DS. But realistically, if you're playing SVG, you probably should not play Reddick or McDowell. I don't see a way in which that's optimal. Maybe if they exactly 50-50 split and SVG wins, and like Reddick comes in second or something. But that's such an easy situation. I really don't see them working out together. But you're also probably going to have to force a bit of like Reddick in because like Bell outprojects him. Obviously, the place differential guys outproject him. SVG outprojects him. Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, they all outproject him. So gonna need to really fight to get like a guy like Reddick in there. But I do like McDowell because he opens up a lot of options for you. I am using domestic odds. What do you mean? It's DraftKings. These odds are DraftKings sportsbooks, right? Like, it's as domestic as it gets. Now, they're in decimal always because that's the superior odds format. But, yeah. Geek is a bum, right? So, Geek, not been here the last 3 weeks. Unfortunately, probably just, out doing holiday stuff or whatever. I understand the week before. I think he had an appointment. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I pulled up Bovada. I could pull up like Bet365 or whatever. It's just like DraftKings doesn't have cool props. I'm wondering if anyone in the chat knows. I heard that there are props for driver to have most fast laps or something. If anyone knows where those props are, I would love that. I've been looking for them. Maybe it's something silly like Circa LV or just some random like mobile app that I don't have access to, but those props would be amazing. I don't know. I would love to find them somewhere. Anything else interesting? See, this is what I'm hoping happens with the slate. SVG not paying off his price because 12,000 for 75 laps is crazy. Like, people are going to think, okay, Chicago Street Race, we just play SVG plus place differential. That's like the default thought, right? But should that be the default lineup construction? Should it? $12,000 for someone starting first that can't get place differential, cannot get place differential, and only has 75 laps of Dominator points to go around. Should he be 50% owned? I don't think so. Now, he may come in at 40% owned for that reason. It's just every time the field just piles up on SVG at these road courses, and especially this one. Like last year, over half the field was just bag holding negative 33 points. Hold on, let me look up something real quick. Yeah, last year he was 45% owned, starting fifth. And when you're on the pull and you're a dominator, like in DFS, you're going to be significantly higher owned, right? Like he was second highest owned behind Allmendinger at 48%, who was starting in the rear, right? And yeah, so this week, with him finally starting on the pole here and having just led the entire Xfinity race and finally getting his second win in Mexico City, which was the last road course he went to, his ownership is going to be yoked. And I don't really see it, bro. I don't. So see, sometimes I wonder if like New Jersey and Indiana have like different DraftKings sports books. I stare at those all the time. I'm constantly F5ing that bookmark of motorsports on DraftKings. So I was surprised I never saw it get put up. But yeah, most fastest laps would be an insane prop. I know last week at Atlanta, we saw a lot of like really cool props on like the offshores and stuff, but I would love more cool props and especially more two-way props on the domestic side of things so we could actually go out and bet and track legitimately. Like I would love that. If they do somehow put up most fastest laps, who do I like? Top three. I mean, the top three should just be SVG, McDowell, and Reddick. Like that clearly is the top three, right? Like, I mean, Bell, I think, is right there with SVG and most average fast laps so far. from being dominant before. Maybe Bell would be like that fourth guy, but we didn't really see the speed in practice. But I mean, McDowell looks super fast and could get out there. Obviously, SVG is the favorite for most fastest laps, like by a mile, of course. But Reddick also being second in odds, him being kind of like a fast lap getter. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this is so. I think if we ever get a not rain street race, which we may never. I mean, we may be out of Chicago by the time that we ever get one of those. Just Chicago weather. If you're anywhere near the area, you know. Yeah, if we were to ever get a dry Chicago street course race, it would be pretty boring. It would kind of look like the Xfinity race where it's just single file. There's no passing zones, and just a lot of people running the same track, like track position mattering a whole lot. It's just place differential is going to continue to feast here as long as there are rain tires, constant cautions, and just plenty of opportunities to flip the track. Strategy, of course, with the guys locked into the playoffs, being able to pit early and not have to or get track position that way, and not having to do it like legitimately. Like we know that it's not going to be like the Lime Rock truck race, for example, where everyone just ran single file from the beginning and no one changed positions and you just stack the front and you win on Draftkings. Like, it's not going to be like that. We know that this field is going to get shaken up. Like, we've seen this from Justin Haley, which is still mightily impressive. This is why I'm still playing Haley this week. Just we've seen this happen, right? Like, the dead last car, like the actual last place starting car, dominate the race. It can be done. So we saw it kind of last year with Joey Hand, right? Started 38th, won a stage, finished 4th. Stenhouse started back in 33rd. Towards the end of the race, like he was up there in the top 5. Like, we've seen it happen. So it's pretty straightforward what to expect out of this race. And the real question is what the middle of the pack, maybe if some of those guys move up, is that going to work? And do Byron and Elliott hit? If Byron and Elliott do not hit, then SVG stocks are humongous. If they do hit, then people like me who are going under on SVG are probably going to feast. So that's what we're banking on here. So good luck, Hendrick. Keep your cars up there. Not Larson and Byron, who cares? Or not Larson and Bowman, who cares? But Byron and Elliott specifically, the kings of consistency. Just keep doing you. That's all we're asking of you this week. So that does it. Helmets up, guys. I hear fireworks already, and it's still the AM, so very proud to be an American this weekend. And go have yourself a fun Chicago street race. I think locks in like 2.5 hours, so go crazy with it. I'll see you guys next week.